Welcome to Mr. Paintbrush and welcome to another episode of Painting Tutorials. Welcome back TMP fans, I am Rob, your host, and today we're going to be talking about painting up a Blood Claw pack leader. Well, let's go down to Tabletown, see how I got on with it. Alright, we are in Tabletown. We're going to start with Scale 75 Amaranth Blue for a base coat and doing a lot of miniatures at the same time, not usually my thing, but hey, let's go with it. We got Hyrule Blue, Scale 75 once again, and I'm only going to do announcements for those, as far as written announcements for those colors. There are way too many, and it's taking me way too long to produce these videos. So once you got the nice highlights in, you have the nice base tone in, you're going to start off with Vallejo Model Color Black, which is one of my favorite blacks, actually. I've been using it for years. It's never failed me, so I like that black. If I wanted to add some colors into the black, I can, and that's what's good about this black. It is true black, in my opinion, and just getting all the black bits over here. Now, next up, I am going to start off with a nice pale flesh tone. And you can use any pale flesh tone, but the one that I used here is a flat flesh from Vallejo Model Color Acrylic Color Panzer series, to be exact. And what I'm doing is I'm setting up for a nice yellow tone underneath. Now, you could do pink on there and then do the tone as well for yellow, but I like doing skin tone. As long as you have some kind of base, you're pretty much good to go. Now, you do have to do quite a few layers in order not to show brush strokes when it comes to yellow. So I'm going to speed up the process here just a little bit, and you're going to see how quickly I can get it done if I am really pushing time. So look at that nice rich yellow, and that yellow that I'm covering it with is a nice Everland Sunset. I love that yellow as well. We're going to start off with some red, and what we're going to do is start off with some nice base coating Mephiston red for his axe hilt. And I've been doing red hilts for a very long time. And you could do leather, of course, and you could do other kinds of things, but this is my kind of style here. If you're following along with this tutorial, then red hilts, it is putting down that red, that really contrasty red, really makes it pop against all the blue and cold colors that we have established in miniature. So doing so, using the color wheel, using the contrast or complementary colors really make things pop. Plus, yellow, red, and blue are the colors for the Space Wolves, so we have a lot of that going on right here. Now, I'm sorry to disappoint you if you think I was freehanding the lines, which are easy to do. I have freehanded them before. They're not difficult at all. But I had decals. I had old decals that I really wanted to use for my Blood Claws and for my Grey Hunters. So that's exactly what I did for all of those. It's already starting to look good. I filled the belt out. I did the trim on the belt as well. I'm going back with that nice rich Everland Sunset, putting yet another tone in there. Now, if I want to lighten things up, I'm going to take a 50-50 Everland Sunset and add some Uriel Yellow into it to step up to add some brightness to it. Now, notice that I'm not using an airbrush, and the only time I used the airbrush was for the base coating. But doing a shoulder pad in yellow is kind of tough, but I wanted to keep the trim around it the color of the uniform. So in order to do that, it would be efficient for me to just paint it in and, bite the bullet, go a couple of layers, and that's pretty much it. And that's exactly what I did there. Okay, so next up, we're just doing some trim. We're going to try for a leather. And I start off my leathers usually with the beautiful Rhinox hide. Gosh, I love that. That rich chocolatey color, and I use it for so many things. I even use it for flesh tones, okay? For the shadows of the flesh tones. Yeah. It's just amazing color, very versatile, very rich brown. I love that brown. I love the yellow. I love Avalanche Sunset, Mephiston Red, Rhinox Hides. These are my go-to colors. Not to say that I don't have many colors on the many racks of paint that I have, but these are my go-to until they're absolutely done, and then I'll have to go into the rack and find a replacement. That's how I do things around here. I have so much paint, I don't want it to go bad, you know? I've had for years and years and years. And so I cycle through my paints like that. But if I ever run out of paint, if I ever run out of brown paint with, you know, the next 20 years, I will buy Rhinox Hide again. Hopefully it's the same Rhinox Hide formula that I have, or anything similar to that. Avalanche Sunset and Mephiston Red, my favorites. Okay, speeding things up here because, you know, Rhinox Hide, right? It goes on the pelts, it goes on the leather bits, it goes all over the place, and on the tail of the artifact that he's carrying, because Space Wolves like to carry artifacts. So I speed things up a little bit, but I wanted to show you the entire thing. And yes, I do paint it off camera when I switch on to the next screen. So I just wanted to do the motion capture here and show you every single detail. Since it's only 2 models and not 28 models, I can show you all the details to it. Okay, now time for that Avalanche Sunset and going through the weapon and painting it up. Yeah, more yellow because, yeah, why not? Why not? It's got to have some fun with it. This axe was challenging. I decided on my from the beginning that I would try my hand at a non-metallic metal but brush style instead of airbrushing. I've been relying on the airbrush too much. And I want to build my skills with a paintbrush. So in order to do so, I have to practice the skill with a paintbrush, you know, and just keep going until it's right. And just keep pushing the envelope until I get it right. And if I make a mistake, I can always paint over it. There's no such thing as this is the final layer of paint that I could put on this thing. It's not. I'm working pretty thin, so it doesn't matter. All right, so we're going to start off with a nice little creamy Ushanti bone. Sometimes I go as deep as Talaran Sand, but I do Ushanti bone right here just to bring up there, and I know I can go back and highlight that with some Screaming Skull. And I can highlight that with some Wraithbone if I want to really push it to the highest highlight. That's really great. Wraithbone for me is equivalent to white. It's a creamy white. That's what I use for white usually. Not with my Tau army, of course, but there. By the way, my Tau army might be up for sale when I'm done with it. Probably upwards of $20,000 because there's just so much there. If you're interested and you don't want to buy another car, you can have my Tau army. It has freehand in it, and I've been working on it for 6 years. But I'm not done with it yet. I still have to put some more pieces in there. So you got to wait till the Tau'nar's in there. And the Tau'nar itself is $700. You know, enough about Tau. Why should I speak about Tau? I'm talking Space Wolves here, except for not the alien, right? That's that's a Space Marine credo right there. All right, now I'm just throwing colors here on this weapon. I'm putting in nice bony color in there and just swirling it around. When it comes to this power sword, I went ham crazy. I really threw some colors in there and said, whatever, let's see what goes. And you got to see how it turned out. I think it turned out really well. Why? Because I'm not afraid of my paintbrush. I'm not afraid to put colors on and just experiment with stuff. What if I make a mistake? Oh, wow, I could just paint over it, right? I don't even strip models anymore. I don't. So you can strip a model. That takes a lot of time, right? So I could just throw another, unless you really caked it on there, like you're not thinning your paints. And if you're not thinning your paints, what are you doing, bro? Either you're very, very talented and you know exactly what you're doing, or you have no idea and you're globbing. Okay, now I'm going to put some Carroburg Crimson down on that axe. Is it haft? Is it the grip? The red part, the red leather that I'm trying to go for. All right, now one of my favorite things to do is edge highlighting, simply because I've gotten better at it and it feels good. It feels good when you've gotten better at something, that you feel confident in it because you've done it so many times and now you just feel good about doing it. And also, it looks so much better. It looks so much better highlight. So I like to do extreme highlights on things, especially for Space Marines. Like, that is the pinnacle. Now, for the Tau, I don't think I did too many edge highlights. Some, of course, but not as many as in the Space Marine. Space Marine has all these crisp edges to attack. And I'm going to speed up the camera a little bit to show you how much I do. Now, it's sort of a speed paint, but this part, there's nothing really speedy about it. But you can see how it really makes everything pop. I really like that. And some people don't. Some people only put edges and they're more realistic. I get it. They're more realistic painters. I'm more cartoonish. I am. That's my style. I like comic books. I grew up to comic books. I love that style. So yeah, so I'm a little cartoony and I do like the edge highlights on things. And that's a personal preference. Now, if I were doing something more realistic, then I would only edge highlight the faces or the areas that the sun is going to gleam, where the sunlight is coming from, the perceived light that I'm creating for you by putting on the reflections. Wherever it's the highest points, that's going to get the highest lights. And then the low, I would pad some highlights on there, but the highlights would be a different color. It would be a more subdued gray or desaturated color for that highlight in the shadows, right? So, or I can add a different color completely and really play around with colors that way. Because the thing about colors is that it reflects, like colors reflect off of other colors and that color shines on the other color. And sometimes if you have two colors together, it'll come into that color, that middle color, that if you mix the two colors together, that's what you would get. I would use that kind of paint in the middle. But the edge highlighting in this case, I mean, if you want an excellent box art kind of Space Marine, then if you're going for the box art, you got to Tron it out. That's what I call it. You got to Tron it out and you got to hit all those crispy details. And the way they design these miniatures, they design them for this purpose. Like, they do design them with all these edges, these nice shapes and these nice things that you can put lights on to do the highlights on there. All right, enough about edge highlighting. And the only reason I go on about edge highlighting is because so many people skip that step and their work could be so much better if they did. All right, I'm getting off my high horse here. And I'm going to go for some Steel Legion Drab, which looks like that I'm highlighting some of the areas with, unless I'm doing a red. Oh, goodness. Oh yeah, it's this nice little Steel Legion Drab, just getting in there, and it's like 50% Steel Legion Drab, 50% Rhinox Hide, just to step up the value of that nice, rich, chocolatey brown. And now at the end, I'm just throwing in some Ushanti Bone, just to mix that color as well, so I can have a nice little gradient. This is how you create gradients. This is the way I create gradients when I am not using an airbrush, is I just wet blend. It's really cool that you just go quickly, put one color, put another color, blend them in the middle. A lot of people make the mistake of touching it too much, you know? You keep on touching it until you mess it up, right? So put it on, mix it up, Do it over if you need to. Do that as many times as you possibly can till you're happy, and you'll get the blends that you like. But I'm not afraid when I put the paint onto the miniature. I actually just have fun. It's like, I'm going to try this. And what I've been doing lately is looking at my palette and just using the color that's on there. Like if I need a white, I'll just get something light color. Okay, I'll just mix this in and see what it looks like. And then if I need another, darker color, it's like, oh man, I need a black. Wait, I have a violet. This is a dark violet, like almost maroon. Okay, I'm going to use that as my black. It's on. I don't know if you want to call it too lazy to get the color from the or look for the color on the mess that is my painting table. And yes, I keep on pulling colors, and my taping table, hobby creep is a thing. Where where your paints just creep up on you, and then you can't find anything, and it's right in front of you, and you keep looking and looking. I don't want to look anymore. Let me see what's on my palette. Okay, this is wet and ready to go. Let me use some of that. All right, let's get some highlights in a nice red or a step up from your Mephiston red. You can go Mephiston red. And you could take some Wild Rider red and put them in between color, like a 50-50 mix. If you don't want to get a nice bright red. Again, I've been mixing. Like an alternative to that is just going for Evil Sunz Scarlet. So you can do that as well. So an easily, if you really wanted to do by the pot, you would go Mephiston red, Evil Sunz Scarlet to a Wild Rider red. But don't use Wild Rider red just straight. You would want a 50-50 mix between Evil Sunz Scarlet and Wild Rider red to go for your extreme highlights. And that is your triad for red, if you wanted to do that. So I like to use triads because you have your shadows or your deepest color, your base color. You have your midtones, and then you have your highlights. That's the triad, right? 3 different colors that are stepping up in vibrancy and saturation of the vibrancy, right? It's like really, really popping and getting lighter and brighter is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to use any terminology. I'm not a painting scientist. I don't know. That's not a thing. But hitting that Wild Rider red on the highlights right there, on the leather, on the red leather, as well as the belt. Now, could I have gone a different red for the belt? Yeah, but I wanted to limit my palette, really, and not put too many different colors in there. So, but I really could have. I really could have. The thing is that if I wanted to create leather, I think you could, as an alternative to Carroburg Crimson. Now, I don't put Carroburg Crimson on the belt, but I do put it on the leather to have some kind of differentiation with the texture. I don't know if it really comes through. If you think it does, then please leave a comment down below and say, yes, I think that the vibrancy or the texture of the leather on the hilt of the axe is different from the vibrancy of the trim on the belt. That's a very specific thing, and if you give me some feedback on that, I do want to improve as a painter. I paint every miniature to increase one's skill, so feedback is really important to be able to do that. Alrighty, so yeah, a lot of people are afraid to get comments on their painting, like, I did the best that I could. You're pulling me down by saying that it's not, this part is not good. Nah, tell me what's wrong and I will work on that. Like, I'm always trying to look to improve one's skill, but if people don't tell me what I've done that I could do better, then I can't grow as a painter, and I want to grow. I want my entire cabinet to be filled with like award-winning, almost really fun, good-looking models. I think we all do. Maybe that's just me. All right, now we're doing some Uriel yellow mixed in with Flashkit yellows to do some highlights on that pauldron as well as on the knee pads as well. The triad here for yellow is Averland Sunset, Uriel yellow, and Flashkit's yellow. But again, I mix Uriel yellow with Flashkit's yellow so I can get a color in between those two colors, because Flashkit's in and of itself, to me, is way too bright. It is a shockingly bright color. And yellow to have a tendency to get a little wily, a little bit much, so to speak. It's because it's so vibrant, it's almost fluorescent, and I don't know if I want fluorescent with my miniatures. Oh yes, I believe it's time for the Balthasar Gold. I do like that Balthasar Gold. Now I do mix my Balthasar Gold a lot to get a nice little copper color. The Balthasar Gold with some Stormhold Silver. Man, that is quite the coppery color that I love. I think that I'm going to use that for my World Eaters army, which is still in the closet. I really need to get into that so I can start painting red. Painting up Angron seems fun. Although I might do some Thousand Suns. I needed some bits for my bases for this project. So I built up some Thousand Suns infantry and Rubric Marines. So this way I can have leftover bits so I can use it on the bases. All right, now we have some gold. I actually mix in some Vallejo metal color gold with some Balthasar gold. I've been mixing Balthasar gold or Retributor armor, one or the other. You can use both. A nice red tinge to it. Play around with these paints. Mix them in with other types of metallic paint, and you'll be surprised at the range of things that you'll get. They're interesting, they're fun. So if you're going to start off with a base of, let's just say, Retributor armor, right? But adding half Retributor armor and half Storm Silver will give you a mid-tone for your gold, and then pure Stormhold Silver will give you your highlight for your gold. So you see there's a triad for metallic metals as well. If you always think in triads, you always think of you have your low, your base, your mid-tone, and your highlight for everything, not just putting one thing in, like just slopping Retributor armor on everything or Balthasar gold on everything and calling it a day. It looks, I don't want to say flat, but it looks one-dimensional. It's not enough color variation. There's not enough interest in there. So you need to attack it as if you're doing non-metallic metal. Now, let me not scare you, okay? As I speed the camera up so you can see all the gold bits that I do. But let me not scare you. Non-metallic metal gold or non-metallic metal, period, has a base, has a mid-tone, and has a highlight. You have that triad of colors. So all you need to do, if you know you already have that triad of colors, is study how light reflects on objects. Study how light reflects on globes. And you can see the pauldrons are half globes. The backpack, the exhaust, globes. The middle of the exhaust, tubes. That's the next thing, tubes. Right? The arms are tubes, the legs are tubes, the thighs are tubes, the shins are tubes, right? And research how the light hits those things. Because if you can capture how the light hits those things and recreate that, then you're getting your mid-tone, you're getting your base color, mid-tone, and highlight on each one of those shapes and recreating how light reflects off of it. And that is painting non-metallic metal, a shimmer or a shine. What is it saying? It's saying it has a highlight. There's light that reflects off of it because it's shiny, Some people cheat that by just using gloss, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can use gloss if you want to, but most people in our hobby use matte color paints because we want to add where the shine is and not be dependent on whether it's shiny in the case or shiny on the table, because some things that are in the case don't look the same when they're on the tabletop. Let me tell you that. Okay. So messing around with gold here. And playing with the colors. Don't be afraid of that paintbrush. Just go for it. The worst thing you do is you paint over it. That is the worst possible scenario. Well, worst possible scenario, you tie it to a rocket and then send it into the moon and then watch it explode into a million bits. But I don't think we have the budget for that. I mean, we might. I mean, we are Warhammer collectors, so we might have the budget for that. But still I highly would not recommend these things. But yeah, it's just paint. It's just paint. Go for it. You know, you can't get better if you don't try. You don't get better at the things you don't try, right? You fail at 100% of the things that you don't try. But you don't fail at 100% of the things you do try. Eventually, it'll just click and you'll just get it. All right, enough of this gold. There's a lot of gold trim on this one. And I wanted to show you just how long it does take me to paint up one of these miniatures here. There's a lot of little steps I do, but I think the color is really popping. I believe it's really fantastic, and I am enjoying every bit of the process. Now I'm going with a nice little tan. I started off again with Rhinox hide, and again I am going to go for a nice Ushanti bone. Just hitting those things off, or Ushanti bone mixed with Screaming Skull, just to get in there. I used the Screaming Skull for the pauldron, and honestly I like the decals better than these embossed shoulder pads, because I think they do a better job of it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's because I'm painting white. White on the black background, it's tough. It's tough on these shoulder blades. Because I had to go for the champions of Fenris. Of course I did. But it is what it is. I try to use the side of the brush, so I'm not using the tip of the brush, except for the paws, which I'm using the tip of the brush, and some flow improver, not too much flow improver. And I'm putting it on relatively thick because putting it on light over black is not good. So yeah, doing the best I can with white. It just is what it is. That being said, I painted an entire army of white for 6 years because I was afraid of painting white, and I don't stay afraid of painting things for long. Alrighty here, so now I'm going in a nice chocolatey Steel Legion drab, just getting little highlights in here, mixing it in with some Ushanti bone and going back and forth with those two colors and having fun, just painting some highlights onto that loincloth. And you see that I do a little patchy there. I went for just highlights on individual things, and then I was like, I don't know about that. Now I grabbed up some Rhinox hide, and I'm going to wet blend this sucker right there onto the model, which is great. And I enjoy doing that I really do enjoy doing that with gel-based paints, so scale 75s, your war colors. I don't know if war colors are still in business, but I do have all those as an alternative to scale 75, because scale 75 back in the day, and I don't know about now, was hyper expensive. It was crazy. But yeah, I'm just wet blending, as you can see right there, wet blending nice little Ushanti bone with a nice Steel Legion drab, Rhinox hide, and Screaming Skull. Those are the colors. And now I've done the highlighting. Now I can do all this with the brush. These are the black lining, or there's another word for it, but I can't remember. If you do remember, please put it down in the comments so I can learn that word. But I do it with a pen. Now, the thing about doing this with a pen, it's not very forgiving. So if you go off a little bit, it's noticeable mistake, right? So I have steadied my hand to use this. And you know how I steadied my hand in using this? Painting Tau for 6 years, and 6 years of practice. My hands are pretty steady at black lining using these. And I'll tell you this much, that black lining blue is easier to hide any mistakes than black lining white. So yeah, a lot of fun here. But if you do have the brush control, or the marker control in this case, by all means, I use a Pigma micron pen. I use a 0.005. Now the thing about these pens and highlighting is they're a really small tip and a delicate tip at that. So you can't put too much pressure when you blackline because you'll sink the tip. You'll sink the tip into the pen. So be gentle, like a delicate little flower on these things. Like you don't have to. Some people are very heavy-handed when they paint, and it looks like slobs of stuff putting on there because there's no finesse. You know, paintbrush is a finesse tool. Okay, it's not a power axe. It's a finesse tool. It's more like a rapier. Okay, so you got to treat it as such. Light, quick, light, floating, barely touching the miniature. Because if you do it too hard, you might even scrape off the paint. Like, you barely have to touch it. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, when you paint, I'm barely touching the miniature. Barely. Just barely. I'm slowly getting closer. I'm slowly getting closer. I'm slowly getting closer. I'm not touching it. I touch it. There it is. That was it. Yeah. That's called brush control. Now, if you can practice that, you'll get better at brush control. And if you say to yourself, I'm not good at brush control, have you practiced? Are you practicing now? What about your next miniature? Are you going to practice then? Or are you never going to practice and just complain at the fact that you don't know how to do it? I think one of those things are counterproductive. Now, let's get back to this. Just like the highlights, these shadow lines really do a fantastic job of separating two colors, especially when you have two colors and they meet and they join in one area, like one color stops and the other one starts. Definitely put a black line in between those two. That will definitely help you. Now I'm going to spend hours on a power axe because I'm going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until I feel good about it. Now, is this one of these things that I could have stopped a long time ago? Yes, but I kept on doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. To the point where I actually put little like lightning bolts coming out of the nodes where the power sword is. So I played around with that. I even included purple in there. Inspiration from Wolfbrother Mythos from Wolfbrother Hobbies, who does use a pink in his thing. So I just did a nod to him and used a little bit of purple. The truth is, though, is that I needed a black and, that was on my palette. So I was like, close enough. Purple, black, close enough. So I went for it, And when I did it, I was like, oh, that's nice. Now let's talk about reflections for the axe. You want to go from a dark color to a light color and have a nice blend in between. Dark color, light color, blend in between. And then you definitely want to hit all the edge highlights, all of them. Really make it pop and to sell the effect. So in order to do that, bust out your glaze medium. Yes, there is medium that you can add to your paints to help you glaze. It is Vallejo glaze medium. And yes, use it. You know what? I'm thinking I'm going to put it down in the comments or in the description below, because I do have my Amazon affiliate store. So if you click onto it and buy it, you don't have to pay any more money, but I still get a kickback from Amazon, and you would definitely help the channel just a little bit and help yourself too. Get some nice little glaze medium so you can do power axes and blend away and do glazing. Yeah, that's some good stuff. All right. How much do you use? I always have glaze medium on my palette. I always have flow improver on my palette. And then I always have slow dry on my palette. And the slow dry or paint retarder, they call it, because it slows down the dry time of the paint. And if you slow down the dry time of the paint, you have more time to blend, and it makes it easier. So you may want to invest into that. So here I am going to do well, ruin it, do well, ruin it, do well, ruin it. And why? Because I'm not satisfied and I keep on going. Now, could I have stopped here? Probably. Am I? No, not even close. I keep on going back and forth until I see that dramatic fail. I want it to look really like almost a blue steel. That's exactly what I'm going for. Now, I'm going to tell you to keep blending until you're happy. You know, don't be satisfied, but you can be happy about your work. If you're never satisfied and always happy, you'll keep pushing yourself to the next level. And it's definitely something that'll help you. All right. I think we're going to slow down the camera a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Or maybe not. I don't know. But you can see that I'm really touching it and touching it and touching it and going back and forth. And these things take a lot of time. I also did a Lehman Russ for a friend. And no airbrush. I really wanted to push my painting skills with non-metallic metal. And I did the same thing. It took a long time for me to get the highlights, but I took my time on it. He said, take as long as you want. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to really push myself to that next level. All right, time for some dark skin. And dark skin was Rhinox hide. And then Rhinox hide, Steel Agent Drab, we mixed in with Ushanti Bone. And what I did was Zenithal highlight to get that kind of transition. And now I'm painting eyes. You see I'm doing so. Now these are the blood claws. So I didn't go as, I guess, I didn't go to town as much as I did for the long fangs. No, Gray Hunters. Gray Hunters, I put more detail in the face. Now, this was pretty good. I mean, it came out all right, but not my best work. Not yet. But I dedicated for my Gray Hunters to work on faces. Like, that was the thing that I wanted to improve. This guy came out pretty cool. Not to down him. My man over here. And having a captain of darker skin persuasion, I think is so cool. To have darker skins represented in Warhammer, you know. All right, time for decals. And I do like decals that this comes with. I bought so many extras just in case. And I am using a lot of decals, meaning that I am definitely going to use some of the markings, some of the tribal markings, and go to town with it. Once again, using the Blood Claw that comes with an older decal sheet to just put those on there. Microsol and Microset goes a long way. AK interactive ultra matte varnish also helps, but it's looking pretty tight. And now it's time for those bases. All right, get the Microsol out of the way. Cut this up with some ginger scissors because yes, opulent. And then look at these glorious bases. Oh, it just feels so good in my hand. Oh, let's go. It's like chocolate chips. All right, now time for the basing. I am going to take tree bark, pine bark. You can get that from big box store, and you can get enough to last a lifetime. I shared mine out. I'm going to use some PVA glue onto there. You can use Mod Podge or wood glue. I use wood glue onto it. I'm going to put that into some road gravel. And for the blood claws, this is pretty much that in the snow. Keep in mind that I do put down the miniature and then have it. I'm going to stop this now. With all the painting out of the way, now it's time for a grand reveal.
go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Well, there you have it, folks. Another one into the Legends of Time. We have finished a Blood Claw Pack Leader. That means we have a lot of Blood Claws ready for that table to rush and flood the board and all the objectives, and getting ready for 11th edition. All right, well, if you like this video, do all the YouTube things that brings more people into the channel. And remember, when you paint a miniature, paint every miniature to increase one of your skills so you can get better at what it is that you do. And may your backlog get ever smaller.
Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.